You know, everybody that I've ever worked with is a part of my being here tonight too. Accept this award. For 30 years, Audrey Meadows kept her mouth shut. She smiled in interviews. She thanked Jackie Gleason publicly. She protected the magic of the honeymooners. But in 1994, 2 years before she died, she finally exposed Gleason. Behind the laughs was a man who refused to rehearse, who went silent for days, who made everyone tiptoe around his moods. The truth about television's most beloved couple was darker than anyone imagined. Audrey Meadows was born far from Hollywood in Wuchang, China on February 8, 1922. Her parents were American missionaries. They had already spent over 10 years in China when Audrey arrived. The youngest of 4 children, their home was surrounded by the echoes of revolution, political chaos, and a culture completely different from anything in America. Wuchang had been a hot spot during the 1911 revolution that brought down the Qing dynasty, and the region remained unstable throughout the 1920s. That's where Audrey's earliest memories were made. She played among Chinese children, heard Chinese songs, and lived her first 5 years without speaking a word of English. She returned to the United States in 1927. The family settled in Rhode Island where her father became a cathedral rector. Suddenly, Audrey was a little girl in a cold New England city. Unable to speak the language around her, she had to learn English from scratch. But that didn't erase her first language. Audrey had spoken fluent Mandarin Chinese. It shaped how she saw the world, giving her an awareness few Americans had. That skill, the ability to adapt, became a pattern in her life. But home was never simple. Audrey's older sister, Jane Meadows, had already begun her rise in show business. She was the elegant one, the dramatic actress, the rising Hollywood star. She signed with MGM in 1944 and quickly found herself acting alongside legends. Audrey, meanwhile, started with music. She could sing like a bird and had a fire of her own, but she lived in Jane's shadow. The comparison stung. People noticed the rivalry. There were times when the sisters didn't speak, especially after Audrey married airline executive Robert 6. Jane wasn't happy about that. Over time, their relationship softened. After 6's death in 1986, they became close. Again, fame couldn't undo the bond they shared. Audrey's path to fame started with her voice. At just 16, she performed at Carnegie Hall as a color soprano. That stage was meant for legends, and Audrey held her own. She then joined opera companies in Detroit, Louisville, and Chicago, performing lead roles in musicals like Roberta and Anything Goes. But it was her sister, Jane, who nudged her toward acting. Jane saw something in Audrey that others hadn't. Comedic timing, charisma, a presence that lit up a room. Audrey took a chance. She auditioned for the musical Top Banana and landed a key role alongside Phil Silvers. It changed everything. It opened on November 1st, 1951 at the Winter Garden Theater and ran until October 4th, 1952. That's 350 performances. Every single night, she stood beside Phil Silvers and played Betty Dillon, a role that demanded sharp timing and constant energy. The show poked fun at the chaos behind television, and it moved fast. She had to sing, dance, and deliver punchlines with perfect precision. Working alongside a giant like Silvers was no easy task. He was loud, unpredictable, and always in motion. But Audrey kept up. She learned when to stay quiet and when to jump in for the laugh. She later called it her comedy boot camp. Night after night, she adjusted to his improvising and matched his pace. That pressure built her confidence. It taught her to stay cool even when everything was moving too fast. By the end of the run, she had something few young actresses ever got. Proof. Proof she could hold her own in the spotlight. Proof she could handle anything live theater threw at her. And that mattered, because television was about to change everything. After Top Banana, Audrey moved from the stage to the screen. In 1951, she joined the Bob and Ray Show on NBC. The show only ran for 15 minutes at a time, but it was packed with absurd skits, fake news, and wild parodies. It was chaotic, unscripted, and fast, and it was perfect for her. Audrey didn't just sing. She played characters. One moment she was a soap opera star, the next she was delivering a fake weather report with a straight face. The rehearsal time was minimal. The pace was brutal. There was no safety net. But she thrived. She learned how to switch roles instantly and how to survive when things went wrong. That quick thinking became her signature. It was during this time that she caught Jackie Gleason's attention. He thought she was too polished at first, too glamorous to play the tough, no-nonsense Alice Creighton. But something about her timing, her poise, and the way she held the scene, even in chaos, made him reconsider. This little comedy show gave her a chance. She grabbed it and never let go. But none of it came easy. Long before Broadway lights and TV cameras, Audrey was just another young woman trying to make it in New York. She lived at the Rehearsal Club, a cramped brownstone on West 53rd Street. John D. Rockefeller Jr. helped fund it. Dozens of women packed into small rooms, 5 to a space, sharing one bathroom and one closet stuffed to the ceiling. Rent was $40 a week. Meals included. Privacy didn't exist. Fame didn't either. Everyone was chasing the same dream. Some of her housemates would go on to become icons. Lucille Ball, Katharine Hepburn, Ginger Rogers. Others vanished into the city, never heard from again. Audrey worked odd jobs and scraped together enough money to survive. Sometimes the club put on shows to attract agents. Sometimes she wore borrowed clothes just to look the part. There were laughs, tears, and endless rejections. But inside that crowded brownstone, she found the grit she would need later, the courage to keep going, the toughness to take a punch and smile. Anyway, when Audrey Meadows first walked into audition for The Honeymooners, she didn't even get a chance to speak. Jackie Gleason took one look at her and shot her down. He said she looked too glamorous, too polished, too pretty to play Alice Creighton. In his mind, Alice wasn't elegant. She was rough, tired, and sharp-edged.